910 WOR.
Well, a lot of other states have allowed contact sports, so-called high-risk sports, during this pandemic that we're living through. But, of course, as usual, New York, always the last one to do it because, our governor doesn't want to let us do anything. Can't go to a restaurant, can't play football, can't do anything until I tell you can. Well, at least we have some sensible people in the New York State Assembly, and most of them are Republicans, I might add, including Colin Schmitt, who has led the charge to allow schools to decide whether or not that they want to go forward with things like hockey and football and some of the other high-risk sports. So the Assemblyman, Colin Schmitt, is with us this morning. Good morning, Colin. How you doing?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so how hard of a fight was it to get this decision to allow schools to say, yeah, you know what, we can have football again, we can get the season underway, we can let kids do what they want to do?
Well, as you opened up with, it was absolutely been a year of just upheaval for all of us, and particularly in New York, where there's been stringent lockdowns. You're not even supposed to meet with your family for holidays. And, we were dealing with really a grave difficulty from the governor and from the governor's administration. So there's a great grassroots advocacy group, really just organic following, called Let Them Play, which was started by just local high school students, coaches, and parents who are like, listen, a majority of states in this country are playing all sports with very little to no health impact. There's ways to do it safely. Why is New York not one of them? And they started a great grassroots advocacy campaign. I joined up with them, and first we wrote to the governor and to the administration saying, hey, we can do this safely. There are studies, there are medical facts that we can do this safely without any issue. Then we put it to the next level. As Assemblyman, my highest authority in the Constitution is legislation. So we introduced a bill called the Let Them Play bill just about a week and a half ago, which would have compelled the governor and the State Department of Health and Education to allow all sports, including those they deemed quote unquote high risk, to play using proper health and safety protocols. We're happy that it had immediate bipartisan support in both chambers, but particularly in the Assembly, over 35 co-sponsors in a matter of days. And then this Friday, there was an update on the guidelines, and the state gave the go-ahead, the full authorization, saying all sports, football, hockey, basketball, you name it, can be played. So we now join a majority of states where they can be played, and the state gave local authority to the counties and to the schools to come up with guidelines that works for them in their local region so that this can be done in a healthy and safe way.
We're on with New York State Republican Assemblyman Colin Schmitt, instrumental in getting high school sports going again in New York State. Now, as of February 1st, sports can resume depending on what each county decides. In New Jersey, for example, high school basketball opens today. Hockey began January 15th. In Connecticut, games are going to begin after February the 8th. So why all of a sudden do you think the whole tri-state area is falling in line, Assemblyman?
I think it's great to see New York, of course, the outlier, waited for all those other states to get there. And really, I think it was grassroots pressure I can speak about in New York. It was just overwhelming. It's really textbook. The students and the coaches and the families that came together showed that you can still advocate to your government and get results. I know it seems hard to believe, and many people get disenfranchised in recent years that they can't achieve a change here, but there's so many people that came together unified in a positive fashion and put the pressure on the governor's office. They had no chance but to relent. And all the data is there that it's healthy and safe to play. University of Wisconsin-Madison did a study of 30,000 fall sport athletes in their state that had, I think there may have been one case that was able to be traced back to COVID out of 30,000 players to play. So they're safe. Kentucky had a full football season, 12,000 coaches and players that were tested throughout. Less than 1% transmission rate. And we even had the state of Michigan has been testing their fall and winter sports, and they had a 99.6% return rate of negative test results. So almost a perfect, healthy record. So I think it just became so overwhelmingly clear that all these other states were doing it. The medical and scientific facts are there, and everyone came together and said enough. And now we're going to be getting them back out on the fields or on the court.
Good. All right. Assemblyman Colin Schmitt, we just have less than a minute left, so just a quick answer here. The Democrats, those googly-eyed, crazy liberals up there in Albany, they've got a supermajority. Should I be afraid when I go to bed at night of some of the legislation that's coming down the pike here?
Absolutely. One-party control in Albany and in D.C. is quite dangerous. It does not allow for checks and balances on our government. That's why important and why I will always stand up for the values of the Hudson Valley, to make sure that our voice is heard, because it's so easy for the supermajorities and one-party control to not want to listen to common sense and just try to ram through their agenda without a check. And we can never allow that to be the case.
Touchdown, Assemblyman Colin Schmitt. Thanks. We appreciate the time.
Thanks, Colin.
Yes.